From the entrepreneur's desk
to the industry front lines
and into real world operations.
I'm Aaron Cardell, joined by Kyle Hunter and Jake Hamilton, and we're here to take the pulse of real estate technology in just 20 minutes. All right, today we've got Kendall Bonner with us. Kendall is a renowned, she started out as an attorney, became a team leader, is now the VP of Industry Relations at eXp Realty, and she has so many accolades that I'm concerned I would miss something. So I just want to put Kendall on the spot. And can you tell us a little bit about, some of those recent accolades and just your background?
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. It's such an honor to be here today. And I love doing stuff like this. I think podcasts and education and trainings and just conversations are so important as a part of our industry and helping us, my favorite things are like learn, master, grow, right? So thank you before I get into anything about me, just for the opportunity to be here today. So, you were right. I've been a Florida licensed attorney since 2003 now. So at the time of this recording, about 22 years. I got into real estate in 2011, got my real estate license, and 2014, I started my first franchise brokerage and became a broker owner, started that company as an agent of one. Myself grew that to about 60 agents at one point and over 200 million in volume. And then after 2020, and we had, the pandemic and all the challenges that came with owning a business during that time, I was inspired in 2021 to start a real estate team. And it's its own story how I did that, but I had to overcome some personal limiting beliefs to do that. And I started that team from scratch, from zero. And within 2 years, that team sold over 200 homes, over 80 million in volume. And I personally did not sell a house. Like we taught underperforming agents and brand new licensees how to sell real estate. And I leveraged technology and marketing and, some of my favorite things that were, I was underutilizing those skills as a broker owner. I got to bring that to growing that team. And then now, that was about 3.5 years ago. Now my husband runs that team. And last year, I was the first hire of the existing CEO, Leo Pareja. He was just hired on as the CEO, and about 2 weeks into his new job, he tapped me to come in and be the VP of Industry Relations for eXp. And then within, I don't know, maybe 4 months of that, I was promoted to not just be the VP of Industry Relations, but strategic partnerships. And so I head up all of the third-party relationships and a lot of the technology and SaaS products for eXp brokerage and the services we provide to agents. My business unit is called eXp Solutions. So that's my career in a nutshell for how I started to where I am today. And, a couple of things that happened in the last 9 months that I think you're referring to, because we chatted about it off camera, offline, was 3 really, what I would say lifetime achievement awards for me are in the last 9 months. And I'm super honored and grateful for these opportunities. And especially as a woman in the industry and as a woman of color in the industry, I think it's meant a lot to me to have these opportunities. And so last year I was honored with the 2024 Women of Influence by Housing Wire. And then this year in 2025, I was named a 2025 Power Player by Inman. And in 2025, Newsmaker by RAS Media Luminary, which was really, really humbling to get that. So I'm grateful to be recognized for what any and everything that I feel like I've done. I've been so blessed with opportunities in this industry. So the fact that it gets recognized and seen, I'm just so thankful. But thank you. So thank you.
Well, kudos to you. It's been quite the 9 months, but that's really just the culmination of lot of buildup over the last 20 plus years and all you've been working towards. So
Yeah,
good to see that recognition.
I'm honored.
Well, our topic for today is really around innovating real estate relationships through technology.
Mm,
And this is kind of an area that's near and dear to my heart. But as somebody who's practicing and also leading adoption of tools, really interested to get your perspective here. So we're going to dive right in. How has digital transformation changed client relationships?
that is, gosh, it's funny because I have believed in technology for the majority of my career, right? And leveraging technology to what I used to say was, and still continue to say, is enhance the client experience, right? Like that to me is the goal of technology and the goal of digitizing some of those relationships, right? And I'm very firmly believe like we are a belly to belly business in real estate, of course. I don't think that'll ever go away truly in the sense that because we've been replaced. If we do it, it's only because we chose to go that direction for efficiency and again for the client experience, right? But how has it changed it? I think the fact that CRM management, for example, is especially today, so much more widely accepted and expected in our industry compared to, when I first got into the industry and I know the years before, not that it was new technology, but it was just not widely used because so many agents had built a business around sphere of influence. And now with the growth of teams and top producers and people leveraging relationships that they had to kind of grow, started as strangers and grow those relationships. It's just become more acceptable and more more firmly used. And I think it's been good because it's organized us, by digitizing those processes. And that's the other thing. It introduced process, system. It's a promoted follow up. And I think that that's a huge opportunity for agents and growth because part of our biggest challenge in the industry has been our follow up. I think has been really poor and lacking. And by bringing digitization into that process, it causes us to be better at that, which I think creates a better client experience and more relationships, more transactions, more repeat and referral business.
That's really great, and I'm curious. With CRMs becoming more pervasive, sometimes I like to talk about. I got on a particular day in a house closing recently. Like I got three different happy birthday notices from my mortgage broker, and you could tell one was actually intentional and personalized, and the other two were not.
Yeah.
But how do you maintain that balance between efficiency and warmth of human interactions? And what does
Yeah.
that look like for you and your teams?
Well, I think like the thing that people have to remember is, and I've heard this from a really good friend of mine, you can't outsource the heart, right? People want to digitize the heart part of their business, and I think like that's a mistake. So where you could balance the two is perhaps the automation is around reminding you to take action, right? As opposed to taking the action on your behalf.
Hmm.
A smarter way to leverage technology because the goal here is that we send a personalized or we send a message, right? We want to show that we did not forget your birthday. Well, if you automate that, guess what? You did in fact forget their birthday. Whereas if you automate the recognition of like, hey, Kendall, it's time to, Aaron's birthday's tomorrow. Make sure you send him a text, right? And I would set that automation for the day before because on the day of, everybody is text,
Mm.
Facebooking, messaging you, et cetera, on your birthday. But someone that remembers the day before, that's
That,
typically more memorable. It'll stand out. So that's an example based on what you just said that you could do differently.
yeah, a lot of gems in there. So what problems are you still seeking solutions for in real estate tech? Like, where do you think there's fertile ground that we still need solutions for?
Yeah, that's a big question. There's a couple of different places you could go with that, but I think, you know, first, I think the first challenge and barrier is to adoption is this recognition of like how to implement it into your business, right? So I think that's like really our first step before we can even like build more technology to do more things. Like we have to get agents to use the things that are right in front of them, and to use them more efficiently and more effectively, right? Like the example I just gave. But really, for me, and educating on that, right? And educating the implementation of this technology. But for me, like the future that I think is, really, hope and believe is closer in our future than further away in our future is the ability to leverage technology to deliver insights, that delivers growth opportunities, that kind of evaluates what we're already doing and saying, hey, AI can tell us, I believe it will tell us in the future, like where inefficiencies are, how we can close the gap between what we're doing. So, for example, it provides a form of coaching and training based on best practices and experiences, because the one thing technology can do really well that we are honestly not that great at, it's aggregating and interpreting data, right? We're not that great at doing that just in our human selves. Our memories are faulty. Our ability to document and track things at a detailed level is all faulty. But technology can do that all very, very well. And when we get to that place where technology can then record and then advise, like, wow, what massive gaps we'll be able to leap once we're able to do that at a really high level.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's alarming how fast things are moving with AI, and also just so many opportunities there. I want to hone in on something that I think I took away there, which was sometimes really adopting what you have is kind of just as important as looking for the next thing. And like,
Oh, yeah.
how with your teams or just even more broadly at EXP, are you really focused on some of those training and adaptation strategies, like or adoption strategies rather? What does success look like for you in that?
Yeah, I think that when it comes to adoption, right, it requires repetition and consistency. Number one, I have this saying, before you can reach the success goal, which I measure this way. First, you have to get consistent, doing it over and over and over again. Next step is proficient, get good at what you're doing. And then the final step is efficiency, which is maximum output with minimum wasted effort. Everyone wants to, skip steps to get to efficiency, not recognizing that the journey there is through that lens, right? Consistency first, proficiency, then efficiency. And so I think that if agents and leaders can focus on not just how to do something, but the why to do something, the when to do something, and focusing on where agents can insert a tool into their business, because I think that's the biggest challenge. They don't turn it into a habit because they can't figure out like, where do I implement this into my business and my day-to-day practices. I think if we could spend some time on that piece, that is how you will magnify and 2x and 10x adoption, right? You can't just focus on the how to do something, how to use a tool. You have to teach the agents why they need to use the tool and where and when to implement it into their business and their day-to-day operations.
So well said. One last question. I think especially just with your background in EXP in a very virtual first environment, how have you gone about maintaining team culture in a digital environment? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so great question, because I think a lot of people have misconceptions about what it means to actually build community. And community is not just about, we have a physical location that we all randomly meet up with on any given time, right? Really, what community is about relationship. And you can have relationship, like, for example, I moved, across the country away from my family, and I don't see them every day. I don't get to have Sunday dinners every Sunday, but we still maintain relationship because we choose to, right? And because we design opportunities to have conversations and get together. I've even done Zooms with my own family before, because just that alone, using technology today allows us to be more connected than ever before, right? Because as long as we get this space time, that matters. And so I think that if you can build a community around some activity and some and commonality, right? Whether it's, hey, I have a monthly women's mastermind that I build community around that. And we're all over the country. We don't physically get together all the time, like in person, but we still feel like we all are very connected and we message outside of that. So I think like it's important to find those moments where you have these commonalities and you intentionally make time for one another. And I think even if you have to do that via Google Meet or Zoom, or at EXP, we go into the world and frame, you still get to build community and connectivity that way.
Sounds like a lot of intentionality. Well said. Well, some of the key takeaways for our listeners that I just want to highlight here that I heard were, we really want to automate reminders, but maybe not the communication itself. And maybe consider sending those birthday notices or the like a day before they'll stand out. Really focus on effective adoption and education of what exists, and look at repetition and proficiency first, and then focus on efficiency. I really loved what you said about focusing on the why and when. I think everybody wants to know why they're doing what they're doing. And then, a lot of opportunities around technology and providing insights for growth opportunities. And it'll be cool to see what comes with AI in that space. Well, Kendall, I want to just thank you for your time today. This was really insightful. Kendall, if you want people to find you online, where should they go?
Yeah, super simple. You can go to kendallbonner.com. That's KENDALLBONNER.com. Happy to connect.
That's our pulse for today.
Keep innovating.
Keep implementing.
And keep moving real estate forward.